To your local Children's Miracle Network hospital. See you July 31st for Miracle Treat Day, only at DQ. Happy tastes good at participating locations.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Uh-oh. She's looking at the cigarettes, but she just grabs the gum off the counter. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Number 1 on your car radio preset and the new and improved iHeartRadio app. WDAS and WD273D Philadelphia is Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler.
The 2-1. Robert hits a fly ball toward the corner in right. Castellanos is back, and it's gone. 2-run shot, Robert. It's 4-2. Another 2-2. Called strike 3. How about inside area? 100, even better. And the Sox beat the Phillies to open the set. 39 wins for the White Sox, just 2 away from the total last year. Final score, Sox 6, Phillies 2.
Good God. Really? You get enough fireworks up there in the Chicago area after a victory over the Phillies, which I believe the White Sox was the, if I'm not mistaken, 39th victory of the year for them? And that's the type of arsenal you're rolling out there on a Monday night? Yeah, 39. 39 and 68. Let's have a listen to that again real quick. Listen to the firework display that they got cranking off.
Last year. Final score, Sox 6, Phillies 2.
Hey, at least it's better than fireworks in the right field seats, if you know what I mean. Hello, everybody. It's the Daily Ticket live coming to you from the iHeartRadio studios. We got a lot to get to. Great guests on today's program. Mark Henry Jr. and Kyle Fisher, of course, front and center for us. Reese Robert Jr. going yard yesterday. Nice little audition there for the folks that may be a little bit reluctant to pull the trigger on a trade that would get his services for the Phillies for the remainder 58 games plus of the season. Again, disappointing game to say the least last night, and very frustrating from the standpoint of Christopher Sanchez, because you just wanted him to be locked in. And if Christopher Sanchez is as good as Christopher Sanchez has been going up against that lineup, that team last night, you just expected a better performance and ultimately a better result. Sanchez ended up with 5 strikeouts, hung a few balls over the middle of the plate, and you got to tip your cap to the White Sox. And I think that's really what I want to start with and say, man, I know that they have been struggling, and I know this season as a whole, they've been playing much better. But you look around on some of those guys, and forgive me, I am not a diehard Chicago White Sox fan by no means. So Montgomery jumping off the page at me, who looked great yesterday, 2 for 4 over there at third. The center fielder, who we have talked about a little bit on this airwaves, he looked great yesterday. The pitching was popping. Like the White Sox look like they have new life right now, and that's the ebbs and flows of a 162 game season, right? Like you find these moments where the top dogs, some of these teams like the Yankees last year, if you remember, who ended up at the World Series, they went through a lull, a straight up lull, and I think that's even being kind. They were atrocious in August and parts of July. So you have moments in a 162 game season that you're going to have the bad teams play well, and of course the good teams play bad. And I don't know if that is the case last night with the Phillies. It's a question that I think we need to answer right now, that whether or not this team is good enough to compete for a World Series currently constructed with the holes that they have. And oh, by the way, if they're able to go out there and get a bullpen arm or Luis Robert Jr. from the White Sox, is that enough? And that's the questions that we will hopefully have answered by Thursday at 6:00. And I think it's real easy for us to sit here and say, like, it has the same vibe as last year. It just does. And I was very optimistic about the Phillies last year, and what happened in the playoffs, bats went, dead. They weren't able to come up with the big hits. And next thing you know, they're gone home and eliminated from the playoffs. Could that happen this year? Of course. If they go out there and make trades, is that enough for them to go ahead and all of a sudden make a run to the Fall Classic? I don't know. But I do know this. If I'm Dave Dombrowski and I have those starters, that's where my mind always goes back to. You got Wheeler, you got Sanchez, regardless of what his outing was last night. Oh, by the way, Ranger, you got Nola coming back to the mix. You have some great starting pitching that can ultimately win you a playoff series, especially when you go 1-2 between Wheeler and Sanchez. So I would have to be aggressive if I was a general manager, if I was in a position to add to my team for the last time all season long. And I do believe that Dombrowski will, but we're waiting. Still waiting for any general manager to do something. The stick meme was released by Luke Arcani a little earlier today. Somebody do something. Give us something to talk about. Again, the big item or the big player, and again, I don't want to say too much of that he's a big player, but definitely an attraction at this point in time. And you saw him last night go yard. Luis Robert Jr., courtesy of the Chicago White Sox radio network there. He has dealt with some durability issues throughout the course of his 6-season career. Looking at the numbers there, he had an unbelievable year 2 years ago when he hit a ton of home runs. He has struggled this year. Somebody I saw on my timeline saying it's essentially Max Kepler. And I'm not going to argue with stats, the back of the baseball card, but you do have to be realistic and say, dude, playing for that organization and then all of a sudden getting new life and bring them to South Philadelphia to play for the Phillies in a possible postseason run. Yeah, I would roll the dice on Luis Robert Jr. and get him in here. And again, I don't know what the asking price is. Dombrowski will ultimately have to sign off on that. But Luis Robert Jr. right now currently batting better in July, 318 average, 14 for 44, 3 home runs. You saw him last night, and he's only 28 years old. So there's a long list of names that are out there. And I know that there are other people on this station that are more equipped to talk about some of those guys. And that is a perfect segue to our first guest here, Mark Henry Jr., host of the Tough Cover radio show, heard every Saturday from 11 to 1. We're getting ready for football season. But, of course, the Phillies are on our minds. Mark, how disappointed were you last night with that result? And, like I said, you go through 162, you're not going to win them all. But I just wanted the bounce back after that tough loss in the Bronx, the way that they performed the bats. And then, maybe I slept on the White Sox a little bit because they got some young youth. They got some youth up there. The youths up there look pretty good right now. I know the standings don't reflect that, but how disappointed were you last night with the result, the Phillies coming away with that loss?
Incredibly disappointed. And as always with the Phillies this year, everything comes back to the offense. And, I haven't updated these numbers. I'd have to look. I guess it's only been 2 games since these numbers that I took on Sunday. But this was as of 2 days ago. The Phillies had the best starting rotation in the previous 29 games to that day. They had Kyle Schwarber hit 14 home runs in those 29 games. They had Bryce Harper hit 294 with a 1047 OPS in his last 18 games. There's 9-9 in their last 18, and they're 15-14 in their last 29. And I think all of that to say the rotation's doing its job. Schwarber and Harper have stepped up at the top of the lineup. They're doing its job. They have to support the rest of the lineup. They've now scored 2 or less runs 10 times in their last 32 games. They've scored 3 or less runs 15 times in their last 32 games. That's almost half the time that they're scoring 3 or less runs. And people can point to the bullpen all they want. I don't care about the bullpen if you're only scoring 2 or 3 runs. If every run that the bullpen gives up feels backbreaking, that's not on the bullpen and it's not on the rotation. It's on the lineup. And that's why I don't even care what they do with the bullpen. Honestly, like when they signed Robertson, that to me was like, hopefully they see it the way I do, where if they don't want to empty the cupboard for the assets, let's say, they're only willing to trade 3 or 4 of their top 10 prospect assets. I want to use as many of those as possible to go towards quality bats, to bat first or fourth or fifth, whatever it be, to supplement that Trey, Schwarber, Harper trio around them. And to me, I don't care about Jarren Duran. I don't care about Stephen Kwan. I don't want another 300 hitter. We have Trey Turner. I want a guy who can bring pop to this lineup. Everybody got so obsessed with the fact in 2021 and 2022 and 2023 that they were a power-based team. They're not anymore. JT, his power's dropped off considerably. Nick's power has dropped off considerably. Trey's power has dropped off considerably. Even Bryce has dropped off a pretty good chunk here power-wise. And you lose Rhys Hoskins during that stretch. You lose some guys during that stretch that brought some power. And now it feels like people haven't caught up to the fact that, I think people, if you ask them to describe, why are the Phillies not good enough offensively? I think they'd go back to the well of the same stuff from 22 and 23 and, they're chasing curveballs and they're swinging at everything and they're striking out on 3 pitches. And sure, are there times that happens to Nick or Bohm or whoever? Sure. The problem is you have to string together so many hits to make something happen when you don't have power. And guess what? Let's say the best hitter in baseball has like a 32% chance every time he gets up to the plate to get a hit. That just multiply that by 3 or 4 hitters. If you need 3 or 4 hits to bring a run across, it's a lot harder than just one guy going boom and hitting a ball 350 feet and putting maybe multiple runs up on the board. And I think we've actually gotten to a day and age where we look at guys like Kyle Schwarber and their WAR are like barely 1.0 or whatever. I actually don't know what his WAR is right now. I imagine it's comically low. And I think we've reached a point where with some of the metrics in baseball and just some of the ways that people talk about modern baseball, that power has become underrated. There's just less guys who can go get 40 homers a year consistently, way less who can go even attempt to go hit 50 in a year. So the only thing I really care about when we're going out looking for guys who can bring into this lineup is power.
Yeah, no, you're right. And it's an interesting exercise to define why this Phillies team is coming up short in some spots. And again, like they're having a great season, right? That's fair to say. The Phillies are having a great year. They're fun to watch, but we're talking about winning a championship and what that takes. And you're right. The ball needs to go boom a hell of a lot more. And I've been, as a little bit more consistent Castellanos has been, one of the things that has been glaring to me is the lack of power. And the way you laid it out there is absolutely correct. When you look at Trey, he's having a great season, but the power is not there. And I think you're spot on with that assessment.
Trey Turner has not hit a home run in Citizens Bank Park since the Eagles were 2-1.
That's right.
They were 2-1. It was before the playoffs. Last year. Like, it's a stat. It's actually one because he actually has like 11 or 12 road homers.
Yeah.
So it's not like he doesn't have any. But if he was just doing like normal Trey stuff at home, he should have like 22, 23, 4 homers right now. It's insane.
Isn't it crazy? Because yesterday I opened up, well, I said a lot yesterday, but the one thing I remember talking about from the weekend was the Yankees stadium. The Yankee Stadium to me is a joke, but let me ask you, did they do it right? Like at the end, that's a team that made it to the World Series last year. That is a team that wants to hit home runs, and they built their park to specific, as far as angles are concerned, short porch and right, so on and so forth. And I'm like embarrassed watching it as a Yankees hater over the weekend. But in all, if they're hitting home runs, that's of course, obvious statement here. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they've actually gotten away from playing into the advantage of it. When I was a kid, it felt like they had so many guys who took advantage of that short porch, whether it was Matsui or even Damon hitting more homers than he normally would have. Like so many guys, I think were helped by that short porch thing. And we were making jokes in the group chat. Ryan McMahon goes from Colorado to New York. He goes from the best hitters park in baseball to the second best hitters park in baseball. It's a charmed life for Ryan McMahon. But yeah, I mean, we're probably on I'd have to look at this year's ballpark factors and see where we kind of rank in terms of in terms of home run rate. I have to imagine it's fringe top 10, Citizens Bank Park.
Yeah. Well, one guy that's available out there, he did take a fastball off the hand yesterday. The x-rays came back negative, and that's, of course, Suarez, third baseman for the Arizona Diamondbacks, that should be moved. He has 36 home runs going into today. So the big question I would have for you right now, and look, this is what we're going to do. Right, we're going to get into tonight's game. We're going to talk a little bit about our thoughts from a prop angle, from a pitching standpoint. Luzardo getting back out there. These White Sox, you know about a lot more about this team than I do. They're entertaining to watch. Those young guns are pretty darn smooth out there on the television screen. So we'll talk a little bit more about tonight's game. But of course, this week, front and center for all of us is the trade deadline. It's Thursday at 6:00. So a couple big picture questions I have for you, and you're the perfect guy to ask this because you eat, sleep, and drink this stuff. You're live every Saturday. You're live all throughout the course of the week, and you know what the hell you're talking about. At this point in time, as optimistic as I was last year, I'm less optimistic right now. Should I be more optimistic about this team winning something, competing for the National League, making a run for a World Series versus last year? Or do you think, you know what? Yeah, last year had a little bit more optimism, a little bit more reason to be optimistic versus these two teams. Where are you at with that conversation?
I think it's fair to say it's kind of same. I think it feels eerily similar to last year with I forget the exact number now. It was 25 and 25 now in the last 50 something like that. They've been extremely average for a while now. They've had the chance to kind of swing past the Mets and build a lead and haven't done it. I would say there's a part of me that really thinks when it comes to baseball nowadays that your best strategy to win a World Series might not be to go all in on 1 year. It might be to make sure that for 7 years, you're going to make the playoffs every year. And one of those years, you're probably going to break through. And there's teams like the Twins or Cleveland that would point to their, playoff losses and say, no, not everybody breaks through. But I'd also point to teams like the Dodgers that have went all in and year out and year in and year out. And how many times did they lose to San Diego or Arizona or whoever the case may be? No one remembers that now. People remember that the Dodgers won the World Series in 2020. People remember that they won it in 2024.
Yep.
So I guess my point is, like, nobody wins it until they win it, and everybody's a loser until they're not. So it's a little bit like I don't really I'm not going to hang myself up and say, well, they lost the last couple years, so we know that's what's going to happen again. I do think baseball is different than basketball, where I think, even though I got mad at that, people did that with the Sixers for a long time with Joel Embiid, and I guess they were right in the long term, and I was wrong there. But what I would say is I do think baseball is more random. I mean, you saw the and this is the thing I keep coming back to, and it circles back a little bit to the bullpen. Last year, the biggest difference, I'd say, between last year's team and this year's team was the bullpen. Last year's bullpen, we had the best bullpen in baseball. Yep. All year long, they were perfect. We had multiple all-stars from the bullpen. And then you get to the playoffs, and in a 4-game sample size, we had one of the worst bullpen performances in the history of playoff baseball. Jeff Hoffman was horrible. Carlos Estevez gave up a big homer that people have now extrapolated over his entire Phillies tenure and have convinced themselves he was terrible here. He was pretty good. He had a 3 ERA. Matt Strahm collapsed in that series. Orion Kerkering gave up a lot of walks in one outing. Like, I remember Jose Ruiz got beat up. That everybody that had came through for us all year long and pitched below a 3 ERA or below a 2 ERA in some cases blew up when it came to October. By far the worst bullpen we've had in this 4-year run of making the playoffs was 2022. It was 2022 when they made the World Series run. We had Andrew Bellotti going out there 3 straight World Series games people forget that like he was like the third or fourth guy out of the pen. And I don't know if you went to Citizens Bank Park and showed people a picture of Andrew Bellotti. I think there's maybe 2% of people who could remember who the guy was. He was taking down serious World Series innings 3 straight days, not only 3 straight games, 3 straight days. And that bullpen pitched incredibly well and held up incredibly well until Alvarado gives up the homer to Yordan Alvarez to basically close the series. But it makes me think more than ever. And then you also take a look at the Texas Rangers. In 2023, they go win the World Series. They had 30th out of 30 in bullpen ERA in the regular season that year. Aroldis Chapman goes on a month-long run in the playoffs where he doesn't give up a run, basically. So it just makes me think bullpen is as random as ever. The one thing I will say, and I have no rebuttal to the people out there who want to tell me, well, these bats, we've seen it so many times in the playoffs, they're going to go cold. And my guess would be, I don't think they'll go as ice cold at the plate in terms of not being able to get on base at all. But the problem is, I think they will probably score the same amount of runs because they don't have enough power. So if you pitch around Bryson Schwarber in the playoffs, which you can do a little bit more in the playoffs, you go at those other guys, they're not going to make you hurt outside of hitting singles. So I really do think you need to go get a power bat. And as soon as you go and get one power bat, then you're in a situation where it's, okay, well, we have Wheeler, Sanchez, Suarez. You know, if our lineup's just average, we have the best rotation in baseball by a pretty wide margin. So I think that's the one thing that you have to hold. You can't throw in the towel and say this team doesn't have a chance, because when you have Wheeler, Sanchez, Suarez, potentially Nola, it is impossible to say that.
Yeah, and it's perfect. Like the way you just broke that down, it's the way we all need to view it. And I'm right there with you as far as the coin flip versus last year. I would, I'm a little bit more negative this year because of what took place last year. So I'm like getting those PTSD. But that starting pitching, for my money, Sanchez or Wheeler and Sanchez, that 1-2, they could very well take the first 2 games of any series, point blank, full stop. And if that's the case, all you got to do is win one more, so on and so forth. But it really does take so much to win a National League, to ultimately win a World Series. It takes the right blend of bats, the right blend of arms. Hell, like, Garrett Stubbs, you need vibes. You need vibes too. You need it all to go in your favor to win it all. So long-winded, the next question I would have to you is, like, is there a move? Is there a move? And I know it all will play out on the field, and that's ultimately going to be the difference maker. That's going to make us decide whether or not we believe or put our money behind the Phillies to win a National League or to win the NL East. As you pointed out, the Mets finally lost last night, 7 straight. I can't believe they lost that game. I thought for sure they were going to win it after the Grand Slam, but they end up losing that game. They're playing, lights out this season. So, for us to sit here and say, yeah, I would believe in the Phillies, is there a move that you think Dombrowski could make that will be the ultimate difference maker, that will lift this franchise, that will lift this team to new heights? Is there a player or a package deal that you're eyeing up? Some of the rumors that are out there, and I know we're not privy to these conversations, but, let's just say that Luis Roberts comes here and they get the other bullpen arm. Do you think that would be enough to raise things up down in Citizens Bank Park for the Phillies this year? Or do you think there needs to be, hey, man, like you said, Suarez is out there, go and get him, 36 home runs, make it happen. He's at least a guy that can go ahead and hit the long ball.
So Suarez and Robert are the 2 names that I'm more interested in. Like Duran and Kwan, I'm not interested in at all. There's some other names out there, good baseball players, but I'm not really. Brendan Donovan, a really good baseball player, potential 300 hitter. I don't think he brings enough pop for what I'm looking for. Suarez brings nothing but pop. And I think that's interesting. I'm in on it. If you're just saying it's this or nothing, basically, I'm absolutely in on it. It's going to cost you, but let's do it. I'm fine with it. I will say it's not a clean fit. You're either moving Bohm to first or Suarez to DH or Bohm to DH or Bryce to the outfield. I don't think that's going to happen personally. I think Bryce is playing first base going forward. But so Suarez is somewhat interesting. Luis Robert, I'm kind of throwing my hands up in the air and saying I don't know. I understand the argument that if you bring him here, he's been in the worst situation in baseball. It couldn't do anything but help kind of get right and get him back on track. He's been really bad for a long stretch of time. So I'm a little afraid to be the team that takes the chance on that. I don't think he's going to cost a ton. So that's the one positive there. But the names that I keep coming back to, and they're not names that are going to get the casual fan, pumped up or get, people going to the Phillies game to rush and buy their jerseys. But I've become obsessed with the Angels outfield. The Angels outfield is where all of our answers lie, in my opinion. There's 3 guys who I really like, and that's putting aside Mike Trout, who I would do everything it costs to go get. But I think we're barking up the wrong tree. It's at a certain point there. Joe Adell is a guy who's really, really put it together. He's 26 years old. He's got 3 years of team control after this year. He was a top prospect just a couple of years ago. 21 homers and a 777 OPS. Say that one 5 times fast this year, but an 838 OPS against left-handed pitching. And if you shorten that stretch to May 6th, he had a bad April. He's hitting 258 with an 881 OPS and 19 homers in his last 70 games, hitting at nearly a 45 home run pace over his last 70 games here. So I think that's legitimate power, and he's a guy who absolutely kind of crushes lefties. And then you look at another guy on that team who crushes lefties, and it's Taylor Ward. He's got 23 home runs already. He had 25 home runs last year. He's on pace for close to 35 this year. 786 OPS. He has a 924 OPS against lefties. Still a passable 754 OPS against righties, so he can go out there and play every day. But you know that he's an absolute lefty masher. He is going to come in and kind of force you to get to the bullpen and get away from your lefty. If you got a stud lefty starter, he can help them get them out early in the game. Career 820 OPS against lefty, so it's not just a 1-year blip. Both guys are kind of average in left field. Neither guy is a center fielder. They're both corner outfielders. But those are the names I keep coming back to. And if you go get one of those guys, why not just have them throw Jorge Soler in there with those guys as a free kind of throw in? He's an expiring contract. He's had a bad year. He's basically, he's going to be free, I'd have to imagine. But even in his rough year, he still has like an upper 7s OPS against lefties. He had 36 homers in 2023, 48 homers in 2019, and obviously 27 homers in 2021 with a World Series MVP when he got traded to Atlanta after having a bad first half. Where he basically got given to them for free. So I would love to go make a Ward and Soler or an Adell and Soler. If they want to get crazy, go get Ward and Adell. But 2 of those 3 Angels outfielders, and I'm feeling like, let's go win a World Series.
Angels in the outfield. Mark Henry Jr. is all about it. I love it. Yeah, look, and I think, I'm not worried about the casual fan. We're diehards. We want to see some moves made. We want them to be aggressive in this department, but all in all, it comes back to what takes place on the field, and they have to find ways to win these games. With 54 games left, this team cannot mess around, and the division is up for grabs like we discussed with the Mets, and they can go out there and make all these changes, but all in all, they have to go out there and win these games. And last night was a tough loss against a very bad White Sox team. And by the way, Sunday was a very winnable game, a game that you had Wheeler on the mound, and it's like, wait a minute, you had a 2-0 lead, I think, right? 3-0, whatever it was, and you end up losing it. So these are the things that can't happen if you want to make big things happen this year. We'll see. Again, it's 162. No one's panicking at this point in time, but I feel like we are a lot of us are dealing with PTSD right now. It feels like it's giving the same vibes from last year. We'll see what happens, though. Trade deadline coming up on Thursday. We got Mark Henry Jr. kicking things off. Once again, tonight, Mark, give me your thoughts on tonight's game. White Sox and the Phillies, round 2. You got a guy by the name of Jonathan Cannon on the mound, 4-7 on the season, 4.48 ERA. Cannon is 2-0 with the 4.15 ERA in 4 June starts, covering 21 2/3 innings, coming off a no decision on the road versus the Rays last Wednesday. Going for the Phillies here, you got Luzardo. Should we be concerned about Luzardo tipping pitches? Do you think we fixed that over the last few days here? What are your thoughts on tonight's matchup?
Yeah, I wouldn't bet this with a 10-foot pole when it comes to Luzardo right now. I have no idea what to expect. That guy was he hitless through 4 innings, didn't give up a hit, and then gave up
Collapsed.
6 runs in 3 minutes, it felt
I think
like.
6 runs. Yeah.
That was unbelievable. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that watching baseball. So it's just I can't bet on Luzardo or bet against him or trust. And then if you're saying, oh well, can you hit the team total? I have no faith in this offense right now, unless that there's kind of BVP numbers, and we haven't really faced this guy. So I'm just watching, hoping we're not going to lose our first 2 games to the freaking White Sox.
Yeah, no, I think we're all on the same page as far as that is concerned. Once again, tonight's game going down. DraftKings, where we're getting the number right now. Phillies minus 181, favored to win tonight's game. Of course, they were right around that same number from them. I was thinking yesterday, minus 195, I think Sanchez was. Might have been even more than that. Jonathan Cannon plus 148. Total coming in at 7:40 first pitch. 7:40 first pitch. Anything else as far as Major League Baseball catch your attention for tonight?
I was looking earlier. I think there was a West Coast game that I liked. Yeah, it was the Padres. I like the Padres against the Mets plus money. I feel like in general, the Padres have been undervalued by Vegas. They hit Mania really well, former Padre there in Sean Mania. So maybe some of the guys played with him. I'd have to do the digging on that and see how factual that is. But you look at the PVP numbers, they've had pretty good success against Mania. It's going to be the Padres at home. I also would probably lean towards the Angels against Texas with Kikuchi going against Corbin. The Rangers had pretty rough numbers against Kikuchi. The Angels had good numbers against Corbin. Don't love that play, though, because the Rangers, I think they're 9-2 in their last 11 games. They've been hot.
All right, one more big picture as far as Major League Baseball is concerned, and we got a long way to go here. But is there a team minus the Dodgers that you are looking at? You know what? Watch out! Like people woke up last week, looked up at the standings, and the Blue Jays had the best record in baseball. I believe they still do, if I'm not mistaken. 63-44. It's the best in the American League. Let me see as far as the National League is concerned. 63. Yeah, Brewers. And that's one of the reasons why I'm asking that question right now. Is there a team that you are eyeing up to make a run at this thing? It's like, do you think the American League is wide open, number one? Are the Blue Jays for real as far as with Bo Bichette and what they're doing right now? That lineup really putting it together. Starting pitching is playing or pitching very well as well. Scherzer up there. I saw him, although he didn't win that game over the weekend, but still just you know what you're getting with Max Scherzer, especially if you put him into a postseason spot. And then the Brewers have been dominant. They had a 11-game win streak, I believe, like 2 weeks ago. They're on a current win streak right now. And as I said, they have the best record in the National League. Where do you stand as far as big picture conversation, American League, National League, minus the Dodgers?
Yeah, I wouldn't be betting anything in the NL because I think the Dodgers are, the best team in baseball. And even if they're not going to care about the regular season, we've seen that with Golden State and the Chiefs and teams in the past that maybe don't stress themselves out when they know what's ahead. So the Dodgers kind of take away the value from the NL. The Cubs are really good. The Phillies are really good. The Mets are really good. Like you said, the Brewers are playing well. The Padres, I just mentioned, I think are actually better than maybe people think. So I think every team in the NL playoffs is going to be really good. So that makes me kind of lead to look at the AL. And if I just pull up the odds here, the top 3 odds for the World Series are coming out of the NL. And then you have a couple teams sprinkling in from the AL. You got the Tigers, you got the Blue Jays, you got the Yankees. I'll go to the team that's 4th in the AL in odds, and it's Houston. You look at what Houston's doing, especially from a pitching standpoint. Framber Valdez is having a Cy Young candidate year, and not to mention he's the second best pitcher on his team so far this year because Hunter Brown has been even better. So those two guys are right there in the mix for the Cy Young, and Brandon Walter has really stepped up. He was a prospect for them. He's a starter. He's pitching well. They've got a great bullpen. And the craziest thing about all of this is that Yordan Alvarez has played 29 games. And in those 29 games, he had a 646 OPS. It seems like he's probably going to be coming back in the coming weeks here. So it reminds me of last year where Houston Kyle Tucker got hurt, and they lost him for the entire second half of the year. And Houston was like 50-60 or 40-50, whatever they were when Tucker went down. They go on like a 30-10 run without their best player. And I remember at the time I was saying I kind of like Houston to make a run in the playoffs because they're going to get Tucker back, and it didn't end up working out that way. But I'm kind of going right back to the well. I do think that if Yordan Alvarez, I mean, we know what Yordan Alvarez is. I mean, the guy has been one of the premier power hitters in Major League Baseball in the last 4 years before this, 33, 37, 31, 35. His OPS has been above 960 for 3 straight years. He's been unbelievable, and they've done all this without him, and it's because you have Altuve doing what he does. Paredes, one of the guys that they got for Kyle Tucker from Chicago, has really – I kind of never liked him as much as the Cubs traded a lot to get him at one point, and now he was one of the pieces in the deal to go get Kyle Tucker. I never got it, and he's showing me why I was wrong. He's got an 829 OPS. He's really stepped up. Jeremy Pena, a guy who was the World Series MVP, I believe, when they beat us. Wow. He's hitting 322, has an 867 OPS. He's kind of come back onto the scene as one of the premier shortstops in baseball. So, yeah, I would take a look at Houston at 11-1 to win the World Series.
Ooh, I like that. Nice little future look by Mark Henry Jr. All right. We opened up with baseball, and I got Mark for a full hour. Of course, you can catch him every Saturday right here on The Gambler from 11 to 1, 2 straight hours, tough cover radio where he hits it all. We do the sports carousel, but we're only going to go to the gridiron on the other side. It's NFL. We got ourselves a game coming up in 2 days here. I know it's preseason, but still, fantasy drafts are being locked in, and Mark Henry Jr. comes out with his draft no matter what list, top 5. There's one player, and I don't like to disagree with Mark Henry Jr. when it comes to fantasy, but there's one player that I'm scratching my head, and I need a little bit more of an explanation on why he is so adamant on getting this guy on his ride or die. I'll tell you who that player is on the other side. Plus, we are hitting week 1 spreads for the first time. I know, a long way to go. But the storylines are really intriguing. There's some fun games. We're playing another game in Brazil. I didn't know that's a thing. Yeah, we're going back to Brazil. The NFL, it's a global sport. Mark Henry Jr. hanging with me. Kyle Fisher's going to join me at 4:05. It's a Daily Ticket. More after this.
The Gambler. Philly's home for all things sports gambling. Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Traffic is on the Waltwomen into New Jersey down to 42 south at Creek Road. 95 southbound Jan Cottman to the Betsy Ross, westbound Schuylkill Heavy University Teacher Ward, and Jan Boulevard to Belmont, eastbound so Montgomery Divine. Our Totella total traffic.
This report is sponsored by eBay. Swapping out your tires? There's nothing like it. With eBay, you find the feel you're looking for, from smooth highway rides to grip for rough terrain. Get all the tires you need at the prices you'll love. eBay, things people love.
I met my wife in law school at the University of Florida. She was from upstate New York and I was from Kentucky. We met at a daily mass at St. Augustine's. She was the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen in my life. After communion, I followed her out of the church and got her phone number. The rest is history. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Little did we know that one day we would have 4 children and the largest injury firm in the world. All 4 work in the business. It's a family business. Did I ever see this coming? Hell no. We just worked very hard and treated our clients like we would want to be treated, like family. It's a full-service injury firm, auto accidents, medical malpractice, workers' compensation, Social Security, and insurance disputes. We're open 24/7, 365 days a year. Visit forthepeople.com and we can get to work on your case. No recovery, no fee. Morgan & Morgan, for the people. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Do Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keep coming back? Tremfya, guselkumab, may help, with rapid remission achieved at 12 weeks and lasting clinical remission at 1 year. Some even saw visible improvement of their intestinal lining at 12 weeks and 1 year. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active Crohn's disease and adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Healing is possible with Tremfya. Approximately 3 out of 10 patients were in endoscopic remission at 1 year, based on areas visualized on colonoscopy, which may not represent the deeper bowel layer or entire GI tract. Individual results may vary. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
Trust and Will knows that we'll all eventually need a will. How about right now? Trust and Will makes creating your will easy, like while you're lounging on the couch easy. Trust and Will is designed by attorneys but customized by you, and all documents are state-specific and secure. Find your plan at trustandwill.com and use offer code MARK now for 10% off. That's trustandwill.com, offer code MARK. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. Visit trustandwill.com for details.
Mira, Jorge, let's bring the nail gun over here.
Jose stands tall atop his sustainable flooring company.
Totally. It's renewable and moisture resistant, but we have several green options too. Or we got some beautiful reclaimed oak.
But floored by his success, he needs to hire more installers.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, man, you all right? Need me to call 911? No, call Top Dog Law. Get top dollar for your accident at topdoglaw.com. Once again, that's topdoglaw.com. Hey now, Daily Ticket with you here. Mark Henry Jr. hanging first hour. Of course, catch him every Saturday. Tough Cover radio show on The Gambler. You know what? It's a great Saturday full of programming, and we're only going to add to it, of course, with Villanova football coming up here, college football season. Ryan Beef Coyle and myself will be going live on Saturday nights with the college football closeout show. We're going to be all things front and center for the upcoming football season right here on The Gambler. We got a great group with the Gambler gang, so we're going to be active on Saturdays and Sundays. But Mark has been leading the charge for us for a few years now as we enter into another football season. And of course, we've had some special ones with the Philadelphia Eagles, but Mark does it all. He does everything from the wagering to the world of fantasy, and he's pretty damn good at all of it. So fantasy is where I wanted to go into right now, Mark. And specifically, you are a guy that likes to put out your draft no matter what lists. Some players that have caught your attention over the past few weeks, whether it's rookies or guys in new jerseys, new uniforms, new locations, new faces, whatever it may be. And I saw your list that you put out, I believe, yesterday. So I thought it was perfect day to get you on today. A lot that I agree on. But one name I'm very intrigued, and I want to know, not to say, hey, make your case, because I don't think I would disagree with you to the point that I'm saying avoid him at all costs. It's not what I'm saying here. But at the quarterback position, you are lock, stock, and barrel sold on Mr. Fields with the New York Jets. Why? What am I missing? Because there's got to be some sort of like, hey, bang for your buck, where you can get him as far as draft is concerned, what he's going to deliver, we know with his legs. So what am I missing? Why are you so in love to the point that he is your quarterback on you must draft him? He's got to be on your team for this upcoming season.
When Justin Fields plays quarterback in the NFL, he is a fantasy starter, and he's being drafted as QB 15, 16, 17, depending on the site that you're looking at. If you go look at in 2022, he was QB 6 in fantasy points per game, finished 6th overall in a points per game basis. In 2023, in a disastrous season with a terrible head coach and offensive coordinator who were fired, even regardless of, we saw what that Bears system looked like after Justin Fields left last year. And Justin Fields was dragging those Bears teams to 8 or 9 wins, by the way, where Caleb, who I loved, and it's not on just Caleb, other things changed too. But we saw what that Bears system around Fields looked like. He came back in 2023 in a disaster season. He finished 14th in fantasy points per game. He was still a starting option. And then last year in an unimaginative offense in Pittsburgh with Arthur Smith, who wants to run the ball 40 times a game and pass the ball 15 times a game. He finished 8th in fantasy points per game in his 6 starts. So if that would have been extrapolated over a full season, he would have been the number 8 fantasy starter. He was averaging also under 25 passes per game in those 6 games. The Jets are a team. I'm higher on the Jets as a whole than the general consensus. I think they're going to compete for the playoffs. I have them around 9 wins. I think that there is a big difference, and I've talked about this a lot with Shane Half on Chalk Talk, and it reminds me going back to Jalen Hurts' his first season in Philadelphia. Not calling Justin Fields Jalen Hurts, but when the Philadelphia Eagles had a win total of 6.5 that year. People thought we were going to trade for Russell Wilson after that year. People thought we were going to trade for Deshaun Watson. People were shocked that people thought we were going to draft a QB in 2021. And I think there was Zach Wilson buzz going around that we wanted Zach Wilson. And Jalen came out and we made the playoffs. We went 9-8 on a team that people did not expect to be competitive. We took a gap year from Carson Wentz to try to eat up the salary cap all in that 1 year and put out a roster that's by far the worst roster we've seen in a long time here in Philadelphia. And they went out and they made the playoffs. And one of the big reasons why is Jalen, even though he's not the quarterback that he has become now, at the time, he still gave you a really high floor with your offense because of his legs. And we've seen that time and time again. Jaden Daniels comes right into the NFL and gives his team a high floor because of their legs. And last year, so much of that offense was relying on the most moody person on the planet in Aaron Rodgers, and he wanted to dictate everything. He's washed, and it's all based on what he can do. The whole system is based on what he can do. Now the system becomes about the running game. Justin Fields throwing the ball 20 to 25 times, not turning the ball over. You hired a defensive coordinator come in, and Aaron Glenn, he's saying all the right stuff. I like the culture he's creating. I think that they're going to be a running team, and he's going to game manage, but he's going to run a lot. And that's going to help for fantasy. And I think that gives the Jets a higher floor than people think. I think Breece Hall, I mean, I'm all in on all the Jets. Roy was laughing. Garrett Wilson, I think, is
that was me last year.
Breece Hall being underdrafted. I've never been in on the Aaron Rodgers Jets.
No, I wasn't. So I guess you could say, yeah, shame on me because I wasn't in on Aaron Rodgers, but I was on Breece Hall. Breece Hall, I loved last year.
Post-type sleeper, Breece Hall this year. I think he has a huge bounce back year. He actually closed the year better than he opened the year too. So
just to point out, because he could be the best running back in the game for my money.
He's really, really talented. But another reason that you have to like what the Jets did this offseason, they go out and they draft Armand Membu in the first round. He was my favorite O-lineman in the draft. You have a really, really good nucleus of offensive linemen with Olu Fashanu, who they drafted last year in the first round from Penn State, Elijah Vera Tucker, who I think just got paid a whole lot of money. But they have one of the better O-lines in football. And you have Justin Fields and Breece Hall. I think it's going to be a really, really efficient running game there. So Justin Fields, I have as my QB 8. After there's a very clear top 7, in my opinion, whatever order you want to have it. It's I have it as Lamar, Josh, Jalen, Jaden, Burrow, Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes as the top 7. After that top 7, I think there's a pretty big gap. I would go with Fields over the Herberts and the Goffs and the Kylers and the Purdys and Caleb and Bo Nix. And I think I'm missing a name, but you get the picture.
No, I love it. Great breakdown on that one. And it's not to say, look, Justin Fields, I thought should have been the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Absolutely.
I don't know what they were thinking on that one. The Jets 6.5 at plus 120 over 6.5 wins at plus 120. Is that not good enough for you? Are you willing to go 8 wins for plus 200 over 7.5 for the Jets? Where are you at as far as that is concerned? That question, win total next year.
I'll take the flat 6.5. You're giving me plus money. That's one of my favorites on the board for sure. Jets over 6.5. It might be my number one. I had a ranking here. Of course, I don't have it pulled up, but they were my favorite over on the board. The Cardinals are my favorite under on the board.
a lot of buzz with the Cardinals. For some odd reason, everybody is all worked up about Jonathan Gannon and that Cardinals team. I don't want to waste any time with them because I'm not believing them either. I am intrigued though with the division that you just brought up as far as the AFC East. And you say what you just had to say about the New York Jets. What are your feelings? What are your thoughts about the Patriots? Vrabel's putting it together. He's a culture builder. I'm starting to believe a little bit in Drake May. What are your thoughts as far as the quarterback is concerned? Drake May, what does he have to work with, and the outlook for the upcoming season as far as the Patriots are concerned?
Love Vrabel, love May. Just think it's not not a talented enough roster yet. This was a real teardown job. I think that they probably finish with 7 or 8 wins and kind of finish the year maybe on a bang, maybe a good stretch to close the season without looking at the schedule in front of me. I think that they probably have a 7-8-ish win season where maybe they have a 5-6 win roster that Vrabel drags up to respectability a little bit, like we've seen him do so many times. So, but if you told me, hey, they finished 10-7, I'm not going to be surprised. That's going to be just, oh, Drake May broke out. And, I'm still the guy I got laughed at. I forget if it was Roy or Bernard or both laughing at me. There's still not, I don't know what the percentage chance I'd put it at this point. I don't know the way to word this. The Drake May versus Jaden Daniels long-term discussions, not just over because Jaden Daniels had a good rookie year. Like I think it's absolutely in the realm of possibility that Drake May is not only better than Jaden Daniels, but the best quarterback from that class. I mean, he has those traits. He has that talent. I think he's probably even more raw than either Caleb or Daniels. Definitely Daniels. He's much younger than Daniels. So maybe it takes a little longer to show. I mean, I think that his comp was pretty clearly Josh Allen, at least trait-wise, and Josh Allen was incredibly raw. It took a while to develop. So that's why I'm kind of struggling. It all is just, I mean, I'm worried about the roster. I'm worried about the weapons primarily. I just don't know if they have the receivers. But it all comes down to Drake May and his development, which who knows at this point.
All right, let's stay as far as with fantasy perspectives, and let's talk about the running back position. Chase Brown is a guy that's definitely getting a lot of attention. Why not with that offense? We know what they're capable of. But where's the ceiling for Chase Brown for this upcoming year in your mind?
I think the ceiling's the roof. I've become a Chase Brown propaganda arm for his agent, David Cantor. Shout out, by the way. He was quote tweeting my tweets about Chase Brown saying Pro Bowl season at Chase Brown.
I tweeting you.
I was tweeting, get Chase Brown on the tough cover.
That's funny. One of the hosts that I like over at VSiN, correct me if I'm wrong, Offensive Player of the Year, is that the award? Crazy number, crazy odds attached to him. I want to say that was the award. I apologize if I got that mistaken, but he made a hell of a case. You say, of course, the ceiling is the roof. Break that down, because with that offense, what's going to change? We know that the targets are going to be out there for Jamar Chase and Higgins, and Burrow's going to probably lead the league in attempts and all that. Where does he fit in as far as running the football? How much work is he going to get this year?
If you look at last year and you take out the first 3 games, because he wasn't the starter yet, he was a backup, and Zach Moss was getting the carries. First 3 games, he only had 19 touches, so about 6 touches per game. After those first 3 games, he finished 6th in fantasy points per game among running backs. Zach Taylor has shown, dating back to the Joe Mixon days, when he has a running back, he uses one running back. It's not a committee. He's not sharing guys, not bringing on a guy for blocking, bringing on a guy to catch, bringing on a guy for short yardage. He's using one guy. And he showed down the stretch that he trusts Chase Brown to do all of that. Joe Burrow has come out and been very vocal about how much he loves Chase Brown and he trusts Chase Brown. And he's a guy who I was betting it every week last year. I was betting his over on catches. He's not only involved in the run game, but he's involved in the pass game. He's a great blocker. He's never going to have to leave the field. I have him as my RB6. I would say I'll check it on ESPN ADP right now. I think he's going around RB13. So I have him going over guys. He is RB13 right now for ESPN ADP. I have him going over McCaffrey, who they have 4th, A-Chain, who they have 6th, Taylor, who they have 8th, Jacobs, who they have 9th, Bucky Irving, they have 10th, Kyron Williams, they have 11th, James Cook, easily. If you take James Cook above Chase Brown, you're making a major mistake. In my opinion, you're buying in on James Cook scoring 1 billion touchdowns last year, which is going to regress. But that's another conversation. Chase Brown, he's in the right offense. And you said what's going to change. I'm hoping not much. My hope is that this Bengals defense is still bad and you're still having to do the same thing. What I would say is, even if you are saying, you know what, maybe the Bengals get to be an average defense and they're not throwing the ball 50 times a game and they're not coming from behind so often, I'd say, well, that's going to hurt Joe Burrow and that's going to hurt Jamar Chase and that's going to hurt T. Higgins. And sure, will it hurt Chase Brown's ability to get a lot of catches? Maybe, but it just means they're going to be running the ball more. So probably will end up kind of balancing out. And if not helping Chase Brown, will at least even out. So no matter what, I kind of love the situation for Chase Brown. He is my number one do or die guy this year.
All right. Well, I'm going to clip this and send it to his agent because if he likes your tweets, I'm sure he's going to love the audio even more. Another running back. Let's talk about the New York Giants and Cam Scatterbo, who from Arizona State was all over the place, dominating, and a lot of fun to watch at the collegiate level. Not to say that I didn't think this was going to pan out at the professional level, but it's looking like, man, training camp, he's making a name for himself. Do you expect him to have an impact for the Giants this year? And if so, what?
Yeah, I'm almost a little annoyed with myself because it feels like such a casual take. Like people watch the white running back in the college football playoff and they're like, that guy's awesome. And I feel like normally I'd be like, all right, there's this guy from Tulane who's better or like whatever. But I've always kind of been like, that guy looks like an NFL running back to me. He's got the size, he can block, he had 45 catches for 605 yards last year. Having 13.4 yards per catch when you're a running back out of the backfield in college is pretty stunning stuff. So he played like more plays just in general on the field than any other running back in college football. So he's just a guy that doesn't have to leave the field. And I think that's going to help him a lot. And I think that's going to get him on the field. But I really like Scatterbo. I like the talent. I have him RB27. I think he's going RB34. But the reason that I like him really is more about Tyrone Tracy than anything. The guy ranked bottom. He had a good year last year. If you look at just like the stats and go on his Football Reference page. If you go on PFF and look at their grades and their rankings by the position for what they did last year, take it with a grain of salt. My buddy Shane Half goes nuts about it, but he graded out as the sixth worst running back in football last year, despite having all of that opportunity. I think very, very quickly the Giants are going to want to give the young guys some burn and Scatterbo is going to be the starter by week 6 because of what he does on passing downs.
Interesting. Yeah, he's definitely making a name for himself. Again, it's only, training camp, and we're not going to get too crazy. A lot like Luca on the cover of Men's Magazine. But at the end of the day, it's definitely something that's on our timeline, and it is intriguing. He was a hell of a college football player. If he wasn't playing for the Giants, I'd be pulling for him, but he's playing for the Giants, so we'll see. Quickly on the Giants, defensive front, and they got some names. They got some dogs up there. Are they going to be good on defense?
Yeah, they were fine last year on defense. That's kind of like the funny thing about that. Like they had 3 of those 4 names. They just had Abdul Carter, who's really good. And, I just talked about it on Wednesday last week. People are talking about Penn State this year as if Abdul Carter didn't exist, as if they didn't lose, the best pass rusher in the draft last year. But I mean, he's still a rookie, so we have to temper our expectations on what we're expecting in year 1. And, Brian Burns had a great year last year. Dexter Lawrence had a great year last year. All these guys were all studs besides Kayvon Thibodeau, and now Thibodeau's going to probably play less. So I think it's really funny that the Giants had more weaknesses than anyone in football, got the 3rd pick, and drafted at their only position of strength. So you could look at it, they're really good up front, but they are still weak everywhere else on the field. Besides, Neighbors really good. I don't know if they have a second receiver, but I was wrong on that pick last year. I did not think they should have taken Neighbors.
Interesting. All right. Couple quick ones on the way out here, Mark. Can't thank you enough for an hour getting the party started here on the Daily Ticket. Lot to do. Of course, catch Mark every Saturday right here on The Gambler from 11 to 1. Tough cover radio show. A couple, rapid fire, if you wouldn't mind. Let's have some fun. First of all, National Wing Day today. Are you a drums or flats guy?
Drums guy.
When you rank appetizers, where do you put wings at? Is that the best app you can get? Is it a top 5? What's your number one appetizer?
Probably mozzarella sticks for me.
Yeah, mozz sticks. All right.
Probably number one. I'd have to really. Yeah, it's top 5.
Are wings an appetizer?
It depends, but no. I lean no. I lean meal.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. All right. There's a big story about Lincoln Financial Field or a brand new stadium. Roof in South Philadelphia. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up. WrestleMania. I was at WrestleMania. It was freezing.
It was. All right. Yeah, I'm right there with you. At the end of the day, if you're going to build something new, go ahead. And that opens the door for, of course, Final Fours, WrestleManias. It's just a no-brainer. If you're building something new, do it. But I still like the outdoor elements. Anyways, on to the next one. Savannah Bananas. Do you get it?
Yeah, it's Harlem Globetrotters, but baseball.
Interesting. All right. That's a good look. I like that. Yeah, and look, they dominate. You talk about, getting it. They're getting
They dominate. All right.
Yeah, apparently there is a story that's being told on some a podcast out there.
Lord.
That Shane Victorino, if I'm not mistaken, is saying, that the boys do well. I'm sure Old City was in good hands over the weekend.
He wasn't volunteering the information. They were kind of saying it, and he was like, I think that's fair. He was confirming the rumors out there.
Shane Victorino, who also did very well back in the day,
my Lord,
as I can confirm firsthand. All right, and finally, let's do the comp game. We did this as far as last week. We are live every Wednesday night until we kick off in college football. Myself, Mark Henry Jr., Ryan Beefcoil, and Joe Tanzi. We call it summer school, classes in session, all things college football. We played the comp game collegiate style. I want to do it comp game NFL style, and I just got 2 for you real quick, if you would not mind. From last year, specifically the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the success that they had with Baker Mayfield and Bucky Brooks. Is there a quarterback? Excuse me, Bucky Brooks. Yeah, not NFL.com's. Yeah, Bucky Brooks. Excuse me, Bucky Irving. Is there a quarterback that you have your eyes on to maybe come back on the scenes, dominant, lead his team to a playoff appearance, but ultimately, lead the charge like Baker Mayfield did last year for the Tampa Bay Bucks? Comp game, who's this year's Baker Mayfield?
There's a couple ways you could go. There's like 3 names that pop in my mind. I already talked about Fields, so I won't use them here, and I don't think they can really win a playoff game. So Caleb is an interesting one. It's different because Caleb's only in year 2, whereas Baker had been around for a while, but both former number 1 picks, both maybe weird starts to the career. And I think the Bears are going to win 11 games. I think they're going to be one of the best teams in the NFC. I'm buying all the Ben Johnson stock that I can get. And then another one, same division, the team that I think is the Eagles' chief competition, and a guy who finished QB5 in fantasy points per game only 2 years ago, and feels like people have thrown him out with the trash. But Jordan Love, who played hurt through last year, and if you look down the stretch, played a lot better than he did early and towards the middle of the year. If you just go look at his numbers in November and December, each of the last 2 years, he's Toyotathon Jordan Love is one of the best quarterbacks in football. So I think Green Bay is going to be a 13-14 win team and a true blue Super Bowl contender.
I texted you Bucky Brooks too. I put it in the text.
I didn't notice it in the text.
All right, Bucky Irving, who rushed for over 1,100 yards last year. Who's this year's Bucky Irving?
I will. I'll go with one of 2 rookies. If I'm going with, I'll say Omarion Hampton from the Chargers. I think he's gonna Najee Harris maybe shooting his eye out with fireworks probably helps him in training camp a little bit. Yep. I think Najee stinks, so as many carries as they can give to Omarion instead of Najee would be great. Omarion was at North Carolina with Drake May 2 years ago, where he was a pass catcher and a runner, and he was fantastic, was really efficient. They brought him back the year after Drake May, where they had no quarterback, and you'd think, the whole defense is focused on Hampton, going to lose efficiency. He was even more efficient when he was the only part of the offense that worked. So he's a guy who I believe in to step in and be a top 10 running back pretty much day one for the Chargers. I think he's going to be awesome. Then RJ Harvey, he's a little bit more a less talented player than Hampton for sure. But Sean Payton fell in love in the draft, and when Sean Payton sees certain things, he sees things that other people don't. With Drew Brees, Taysom Hill, Marquise Colston was a guy who went undrafted and had a great career. A lot of names like that. Alvin Kamara went in the third round. That's probably the right comparison to use considering he's a running back. But I've been on record about how genius I think Sean Payton is. And Sean Payton said they found out how much they loved RJ Harvey early on in the process. And they were basically like, all right, time to keep a secret. Like, nobody can know that we're going to take him in the second round. People thought he was going to go on day 3. So they actually took him like way higher than people thought that he was going to go. So to say all that, they did sign J.K. Dobbins. One thing I've been doing a lot, I just draft both of them. I draft RJ Harvey in round 5 or 6, and then I come back and draft J.K. Dobbins around round 10. You get both of them. I think there will be an elite running back from that Denver backfield. It just might end up being Dobbins because when he's been healthy, he's been really good. But give me Hampton or Harvey.
The best. Mark Henry Jr. killing it. Full hour right here, getting the party started on a Tuesday. Mark, can't thank you enough, sir. A lot to chew on there. Hopefully the Phils can find a win out there in Chi-Town. Look forward to hearing you on Saturday. Tough Cover Radio Show. As always, take us out, sir.
Padres country tonight. Riding the Padres. Padres, let's ride.
My man, there he is. You're the best. Awesome stuff from Mark Henry Jr. there. We hit it all, the sports carousel, as we often do. All right, Kyle Fisher's going to join me on the other side. I'm late for a break. We'll continue to update anything that's happening in the world of Major League Baseball trade possibilities. The rumors are still front and center for us. We'll see. And I'm going to hit Kyle with those questions as well. Where should we be right now as Phillies fans mentally? Should we be more optimistic than last year? A little pessimistic more because of what's taken place and the fact that they haven't been able to pass the Mets, and the Mets continue their winning ways. A lot to chew on, a lot to discuss from the Phillies perspective. And oh, by the way, we will talk some Eagles with Kyle Fisher on the other side. I got some question marks about the defense and whether or not we are smelling ourselves after the success from the defensive side of the ball last year. Kyle Fisher on the other side. More after this.
The Gambler. Philly's home for all things sports gambling.
Hi, Zoe Saldana. Welcome to T-Mobile. Here's your new iPhone 16 Pro on us.
Thanks. And here's my old phone to trade in.
You don't need a trade-in. When you switch to T-Mobile, we'll give you a new iPhone 16 Pro. Plus, we'll help you pay off your old phone up to $800, and you still get to keep it.
There's always a trade-in.
Not right now at T-Mobile.
I feel like I have to give you something in return for karma.
That's okay.
I don't really have much in my purse. Oh, let's see. Hand sanitizer. It's lavender.
I'm good. Seriously.
Let me check this pocket. Oh, mints?
Really, I'm fine.
Oh, I have raisins. I'm a mom. Wait 1 sec. I've got cupcakes in the car.
It's our best iPhone offer ever. Switch to T-Mobile. Get a new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence on us. No trade-in needed. We'll even pay off your phone up to $800.
With 24 monthly bill credits, new line $100 plus a month and experience beyond finance agreement $999.99 and qualifying for it. For well qualified plus tax and $10 connection charge. Pay off via virtual prepaid card. Allow 15 days. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. See T-Mobile.com.
CEOs You Should Know, brought to you by Comcast Business.
Brian Clark, CEO and Executive Director of Greater Philadelphia Health Action. Most of our patients are at or below the poverty guideline and therefore qualify for Medicaid, but we have quite a few folks that come in that are uninsured. Everyone needs healthcare as a basic fundamental right. We have been doing this for 55 years. We have multiple locations across the city. We see 1,200 people a day for primary care for all ages, women's health, ophthalmology, endocrinology, rheumatology, infectious disease. We also have a very large dental program, and we are licensed in both drug and alcohol and mental health. What we have attempted to do over a 55-year period is to create what we call a total healthcare home, which allows patients that are dealing with the social determinants of health to get as much care that they can at their provider's office. So they don't get bounced around and sent here and there. Most of us, when we are told to go get blood work, will get it, but about 30% don't. Most of us will get our prescriptions, but about 40% don't get the prescriptions, and about 50% don't get the refill 30 days later once we run out. What we try to do is knock down those barriers for our patients, hopefully to drive better outcomes. They can go right to our website, gphainc.org.
Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
There's a lot of uncertainty in the world, but one thing's for sure. You need a PC you can rely on.
Whether it's for school, gaming, or whatever your next chapter holds, Lenovo.com has the tech to help you succeed. Shop PCs right now at Lenovo.com during their back-to-school sale, where students can save more when they sign up for a Lenovo education account. Free shipping, easy returns, flexible financing. That's Lenovo.com.
Lenovo. Crispy chicken's better in a Taco Bell taco, or burrito, or both. Try Taco Bell's new Crispy Chicken Taco and or burrito today at participating Taco Bell stores for a limited time only. Contact store for availability.
Hey, this is Lincoln Kennedy. Here's what's trending on the iHeart Sports Network.
Presented by Mercedes-Benz.
New York Mayor Eric Adams says the man who gunned down 4 people in a Manhattan high-rise was targeting the NFL offices, but he took the wrong elevator. Eagles defensive tackle Jalen Carter, he's ramping up to full speed at training camp after he missed a few days with a bad shoulder. And a baseball where the Phillies will look to stop a 2-game skid tonight on Chicago's South Side. Jesus Luzardo takes the ball for Philly against the White Sox. I'm Scott Davidson.
The Mercedes-Benz Dream Days are back with offers on vehicles like the 2025 E-Class, CLE Coupe, C-Class, and EQE Sedan. Hurry in now through July 31st. Visit your local authorized dealer or learn more at mbusa.com/dream.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Tuesday drive home, and we're busy on the Walt Whitman into New Jersey down to 42 south at Creek Road. Jersey Turnpike southbound, crawling approaching interchange 4 for Route 73. Emergency roadwork for a sinkhole has the center lane blocked. The westbound Schuylkill Jan, University to Girard. Further west, so City to Belmont. Eastbound, so Blue Route to Belmont. And Montgomery Drive to south. 95 northbound, backed up Broad to the Walt Whitman. So Penn's Landing to the Vine Expressway and Betsy Ross to Bridge. Southbound Jan Copman to the Betsy Ross. Larry Totella, total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Taco Bell. Crispy chicken's better in a Taco Bell taco, or burrito, or both. Try Taco Bell's new Crispy Chicken Taco and or burrito today at participating Taco Bell stores for a limited time only. Contact store for availability.
Do you own or manage a business here in Philadelphia? Are you unsure where to start when it comes to advertising? Well, here's a surprise. Fox Sports The Gambler, your local iHeart station, is the one place you can get it all. Hey, it's Sean Brace, and we can help with everything from radio and podcast ads to social media and digital. And we can even get local voices like mine spreading the word about your business. So if you're looking for someone to take care of it all, do yourself a favor right now. Call 844-844-iHeart or visit iHeartAdvertising.com today.
Hey, it's Sean Brace. Make the most of your summer without stressing your budget. Use the Zip app. With Zip, you can make more happen this summer, from front row to baseball game to last-minute grocery runs for that barbecue. Zip lets you comfortably pay over time with a flexible payment schedule. You can use Zip online and in-store almost anywhere Visa is accepted. Learn more at zip.co. Loans through Zip pay anywhere, and Zip web checkout, including any powered by Zip loans, are originated by WebBank.
If something happens to you, what happens to your family? Will they struggle financially? Will they be able to afford the home you built together? With Ethos, you can get life insurance coverage in minutes. Get up to $2 million in coverage for as little as $2 a day. All online with no medical exam. Just answer a few health questions. Get your free quote at ethos.com/game. That's ethos.com/game. Rates may vary. Billed monthly. Sample rate 10-year term life policy for a 35-year-old healthy non-smoking male.
Rita, Jorge, let's bring the nail gun over here.
Jose stands tall atop his sustainable flooring company.
Totally. It's renewable and moisture resistant, but we have several green options too. Or we got some beautiful reclaimed oak.
But floored by his success, he needs to hire more installers.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Number 1 on your car radio preset and the new and improved iHeart Radio app. WDAS and WD273D Philadelphia is Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler.
It's the Daily Ticket. Sean Brace, Kyle Fisher joining the party here. I'm barking in his ear. Kyle, great to have you.
What's going on, Sean? Doing good, man. It's a hot one out there. So luckily I work at home during the day. So in the AC all day long, enjoying myself, man. How about yourself?
I love it though. I am a thumbs up for the heat. I don't mind the sweat as a bald man. Give it to me all day, every day over cold, rain, snow. Yeah, I can live with the summer weather much more enjoyable to me than the winter conditions. Let's put it that way. But ideally, I just want to put out there, I do like the September. September is my favorite month. It's my favorite month of the year.
It's perfect weather, man. Nice little mix of everything. You can throw on a jacket with some shorts on one day. You can be in a tank the next day. Still got time to take the kids down to the beach and get away from the TV.
Nothing better.
Picnics, everything.
September beach, man. It's my first
NFL and MLB postseason. Come on, man. It doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, September beach is beach trip we've done for like the last 5, 6, 7 years. This is our first year we won't be doing it because my daughter starts kindergarten. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna try it all like 2 weeks. 2 weeks, I think she starts. And how about this? Since we're talking about my 5-year-old daughter, we just signed her up last night for cheerleading. She is now a cheerleader. How about
that? How about that, man?
Yeah, it's
whole new era for you.
It's
exciting.
Happening real fast. That's for damn sure. Yeah, a lot of fun. But my wife had no idea what she's getting into. It was not my idea. I am co-signing everything. I'm all about it. But my wife was like, "Wait, they play away games?" I'm like, "Yep."
Travel.
Just like, you got to be kidding. She's 5. She's 5. That's all right though. It's gonna be a lot of fun. She's excited. All right, I'm excited, man. But I'm wondering where I should be at as far as level of excitement is, Kyle. And I threw up this question because I'm struggling for the lack of verbiage here on the crawl as far as our live stream is concerned at Fox PHL Gambler. I'm just wondering where I should be mentally, and you're the perfect guy to ask, compared to last year's Philly squad that did come up short, and we know how that played out, so that's an advantage to us at this point in time. But it is giving me the similar vibes as we sit here with 54 games to go, trade deadline fast approaching. Another tough loss last night to a White Sox team that I think needs to get a little bit more credit with the youth that they have going right now, but they're not a good baseball team. Coming up small and short in that game with Wheeler on the mound on Sunday when you had an opportunity to put your foot on the throat and get that damn sweep. It's so nice to leave the Bronx taking 3 of 3, but hey, 2 of 3 is it's a win. You won the series, you played well. I get it, but we're talking about levels, and there's levels to this when you want to be a championship ball club and you want to win the division and you want to get home field to make your life easier when it comes to postseason. You got to win these games. So as far as last year's Philly squad and this year's Philly squad currently constructed, your level of optimism, where is it? Is it similar to last year? Are you more optimistic about this year's team? If so, why? When we compare the two, last year to this year, where are you at, Kyle?
So I think that if you're comparing just the rosters on paper, I think that you would say that last year's team looks a little bit stronger, especially if you look at the moves that they had right after the deadline. I think when they brought in Estevez, when they added Hayes before he ended up being out for an extended period of time with the kidney issue, I was feeling very confident about that team. However, if you're looking at the larger landscape, I think that the National League overall is weaker this year than it was last year. It's more competitive at the top, but I think that's because there's no one dominant team. The Braves aren't there with their dominant 1-2 starting pitching. The Dodgers don't feel like the same monster that they did last season with all the injuries that they have. So I think that despite me feeling better about the bullpen on August 1st, then I know that we don't know what they're going to look like by the end of the week. But I think that despite the roster maybe looking, if you looked at the statistics, maybe looking better last season, I think overall I feel more confident about the team's chances this year, if that makes sense. I know that I'm kind of half answering a little bit, but the roster looked stronger in 24. I think their chances feel better in 25.
Interesting. Yeah, because I would say, like, I want to be a little bit more optimistic simply because of Zach Wheeler and Christopher Sanchez 1-2. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Nola was pretty damn good last year, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. Yeah. And I mean, there's still a chance that you get him back. And I think that the team, despite you having some injuries, feels deeper in the starting pitching. We saw what Mick Gable was able to do in a short stretch. Obviously, that the longer he was exposed to Major League hitting, the worse it looked. And who knows if he'll be here come August 1st. But Luzardo has shown flashes. I know we'll get to him in a moment about maybe some of his recent struggles. Is he an arm that they can turn to for some relief innings in October? Then if Nola comes back and looks more like he did last season than the guy who had a 6.11 ERA earlier this year, Taijuan Walker's given you way more this season than you could have expected after last year's disastrous season. So the starting pitching feels deeper. Now, on the flip side, the bullpen feels a lot worse. So I think that 1-2 punch, and it's like Christopher Sanchez had a great second half of the year, but his numbers ended up being great by the end of the season. For whatever reason this year, because you've seen it the whole way and you have a year of background to back it up, it feels like, okay, this guy is for real, and it wasn't just a flash like it felt like it could have been last season.
All right. Great answer. And, to each their own. I feel like a lot of us are starting to get the PTSD of last year and like, all right, they're going to go through a stretch here and we're already seeing it where they're going to break out the schedule or the record for the last 25 games or 30 games. And it's like, wait a minute, when you look at it like they did last year, like everybody that was naysayer for the Phillies last year, they took that chunk of the schedule and was like, this is a 500 ball club. This isn't a championship caliber ball club. And it's not to say that they were wrong, because at the end of the day, guess what? They were right. It's tough for me to sit here and say, you know what, that this team is not good enough to win the National League. This team is not good enough to compete with the Dodgers or the Brewers or whoever it is come playoff time. I do believe in this Phillies team, but because of what took place last year, it's now rubbing off to a little bit right now on me personally. Now, what could change that? Of course, win these damn games, and they have a very winnable game tonight. And of course, they could come back and win the game against the White Sox to take the series. Of course, make some moves with the trade deadline fast approaching here on Thursday. So I know we've been talking about potential targets, players that would come in and be difference makers. Is there somebody on your radar that you think if Dombrowski goes out there, it's going to move you to the point that, you know what, you're going to start believing in this team even more? We just hit on some of the things that they have going right, but if they're able to add to this spot or take care of this position, you, Kyle Fisher, will think more about the possibility that the Phillies will be playing a little bit longer this year. Is there a potential target for you with the trade deadline approaching here on Thursday?
Yeah, I think the easy target is Eugenio Suarez. If you add a guy who has 30-plus homers and is having one of the best offensive seasons of his career, obviously that changed the dynamic of your lineup drastically. It puts Castellanos in the 5 hole. All of a sudden, JT is your 6th or 7th hole hitter. You have Brandon Marsh hitting 9th. The problem is it's not a perfect positional fit. When Alec Boehm comes back, where does he end up in the lineup? I'm a big proponent of, if you get a bat that good, you figure it out when it happens, right? Who cares where it fits right now? Let's see. Maybe Boehm faces a setback, and you don't get him until October, and then it doesn't matter anyway, right? So that would be the game changer. But to me, I would like to get somebody who fits more, because I don't think Boehm's going to be out that long. I think Joe Adell from the Angels is the guy that I would target. Not only is he an outfielder under team control for a couple seasons, he's a guy who's a former top pick who's finally blossoming into what maybe people expected. And he's not doing what Taylor Ward's doing necessarily as far as the overall slug, but he has a better OPS than every other outfielder on the Phillies. I think last time I checked, except Castellanos, it may have even passed Castellanos recently, because he's been on a hot streak as of late. But he plays a lot of center field. He's not a perfect center fielder. It's more like when you put Marsh in center field. But if you can slide Marsh over to left, his better position, put a guy who's played majority center field this season in center field, who smashes left-handers, which is one of their weaknesses, is a right-handed bat and is under team control for 2 seasons, that's a guy who I think makes a big difference for this lineup. And you don't have to figure out, do we feel comfortable with Kyle Schwarber in left field? Do we feel comfortable putting Bryce Harper back in the outfield? You don't have to worry about any of that with this guy. You plug him in center field. You probably say goodbye to Max Kepler, or if Kepler's willing to stay happy on the bench, maybe you keep him on the bench instead of Johan Rojas, but you probably keep Rojas there for defensive purposes and let Kepler go on his way. To me, that's the perfect fit for them. Ward would be a nice secondary piece. He's hitting the crap out of the ball, really killing lefties. I think he has a slug over 500 in the last month, and he has over 20 doubles and 20 homers. Only 1 year of team control after this year. So my preference would be Adele. I think he's a guy who's blossoming, and I think Long would do a really good job with him continuing that trend of his upward trend of offense as of late.
Hopefully Dombrowski's tuned into the Daily Ticket today, because you and Mark Henry Jr. both have been pitching the idea of attacking the Angels in the outfield. So we'll see if that is the case. But I'm sold. I'm also sold on Friday's show, just to let everybody know, programming note, we will be live from the National in Chicago. Colby Marshall will be joining us live. We're going to have Stephanie Smalls and other great guests that'll be out there as well. Going to be joining us. We're going to be live from 3 to 6 p.m. right here, Eastern Standard Time, of course. Hour difference out there in Chicago, but and then some. It's not just the show. We're going to be doing a lot on socials, behind the scenes, having some fun out there, as the National is the #1 sports card show out there in the country. So it's going to be a lot of fun to be there. And of course, everybody, the amazing people that are in the industry, from jerseys to sneakers. I mean, it's going to be incredible. And it's, a kid in a candy store. And you know what? Bad segue, but let me just hit this real quick. Ryan Sandberg passed away yesterday at the age of 65. And, I hope when I pass away, the way people were talking about Sandberg yesterday, and I know I'm not a Hall of Fame player, but they talked about the character and who he was. And not one person just did not take an opportunity to just go in on Sandberg and wax poetic, as we like to say here. And it just tells you, how nice of a human being he was and how important he was to the game of baseball. And I get it. He's a Hall of Famer, Gold Glover for a decade plus. But still, man, when somebody's good, and I hate to say it like that, when they do pass away, when people just go absolutely berserk with anything and everything that they can confess. And I thought we were getting that in all areas on the timeline. Tom McCarthy, he went in on him, just giving it like a 3-4 minute conversation, him and Kruk. And you continue to see it now. Heading out to Chicago, I am going to Wrigley Field for the first time in my life on Sunday. It is a bucket list dream come true. Can't wait to get out there. And Sandberg is a guy that I grew up watching, man. The Cubs, WGN, Harry Carey on the call, Sandberg, Andre Dawson, Sean Dunston. I mean, I could go on and on about those Cubs teams, man, that I grew up watching because I got that channel when I was in both Scranton and Wilmington, North Carolina. I grew up a Ryan Sandberg fan. Matter of fact, I had a baseball glove with his autograph in the middle. I think that was like my second mitt, if I'm not mistaken. So pretty cool things that we draw back on is from our childhood. But man, so many people had so many glowing statements to make about Ryan Sandberg, who passed away due to cancer at the age of 65. Terrible, terrible stuff.
Yeah, man. Obviously, I didn't know him. When he played, I was very young. Everything that people have said about him over the years, but when he was the manager for AAA with Philadelphia, when he was the manager at the major league level for a couple seasons with some bad teams, not his fault. Everything that everybody said about the guy was he's very, for a Hall of Famer, for a guy who, like, you think to make the Hall of Fame, you have to be this uber competitive guy. Everything was that he's super shy, unassuming, nicest guy you'll ever meet in your entire life. And when you think Hall of Fame athlete, that's not necessarily the first thing you go to. To me, it's the classic, like, Hall of Fame athlete, Hall of Fame person. That's what people seem to say about him, especially these last few days as they wax poetic about him. It really is great for baseball. He was, great for the Phillies that they were associated with a guy who's so well respected across the board. There are guys in that Phillies locker room who still to this day say that he's the best coach they ever had.
Yeah.
Whether they came through AAA, whether they were with him at the major league levels, there are guys who were in that locker room with him and said, best coach I've ever had. He was a player's first coach, obviously an incredible player, probably one of the best trades the Cubs have ever made and one of the worst trades the Phillies have ever made.
True.
But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the man, what a battle that he went through. an inspiration to a lot of people, and deservedly so. Will get a lot of honor this weekend. You'll probably get some of that when you're at Wrigley this weekend.
Yeah, man. I thought that was a little strange coincidence. Not something that we want, but all in all, it's going to be a special weekend out there at Wrigley.
I was a little worried that Castellanos was going to interrupt Tom McCarthy with a home run last night.
He hit one to the track.
I know. That's why the only reason I said it was like, oh, dude, no way. Like, I can't believe this is about to happen. But
again,
just
Ryan Sandberg, in 1984 National League MVP, one of 10 players in Major League Baseball history with over 2,300 hits, 300 stolen bases, 275 bombs. Rest in peace, Ryan Sandberg. All right, let's keep it moving here. Phillies back at it tonight, taking on the White Sox. Luzardo on the mound. Should we be concerned about tipping pitches again?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know that Luke shared that one video. I forget who he got the video from, but of Alex Cora maybe flashing some signals to either the first base coach or the runner on second about some things. They really, hopefully, they keep saying they're getting in the lab, and it seems to strictly be when he has runners on base. He seems to be electric still when he's pitching out of the windup, but once he gets in the stretch, there's complications, whether it's he needs to slow things down and accept that runners might move on him so that way he can really take his time. Because I know that early in the season, they wanted him to speed up and go more of a slide step. That was something they worked on in the offseason and early in this season. So they need to do something because we see flashes of what the guy can be when he's on. Even this last start, he gives up the grand slam, the 4 walks in 1 inning, but he had a no-hitter through the first 4 innings. Like he was electric, and then he let one runner on and things spiraled from there. He almost got out of that too. That's the thing that really makes you like, he accidentally ate this one, right? Like Thompson even said after the game that it's on him. He should have had Romano or someone else up earlier than he did. But I think because he was so close to getting out of it, player's manager, sometimes you're a player's manager to a fault. You want to see your guy battle through this. When he had those 2 back-to-back really rough outings earlier in the year, Thompson said the same thing back then. Statistics are fine, but at the end of the day, we want our guys to learn how to battle through adversity and battle through a tough situation. And he had almost done that. If that pop-up doesn't get lost in the sky, he gets through that with no runs allowed and probably comes out there and gives you 2 more solid innings. Instead, it just piles on. I don't know what the tip is. I can't tell anything. There was something that I saw a video of, like a friend of mine who pitched in college. He showed a video where he was showing like where his hands were on certain pitches only out of the stretch. So to me, I was like, oh, maybe that's obviously something that they'll pick up on. Well, we haven't seen it since then, and he's still struggling out of the stretch. So it's got to be more than whatever is visible to to somebody like you and I, but somebody who's major leaguer they have guys studying this just to give you something on the scouting report. So we'll have to see what he's doing. I don't know if it's just he's not gripping it the same way, or if he can't get the same kind of arm behind it, hand behind it kind of action. Time will tell, but this is the team that you hopefully would get a bounce back from Luzardo against. So we'll have to see how tonight goes. Fingers crossed he doesn't have a lot of traffic and can navigate through.
-181 on DraftKings. Phillies are favored. 9 is our total. 7:40 first pitch. Again, Jonathan Cannon getting the start for the White Sox. And again, I didn't have much expectation yesterday for the White Sox starter. He looked pretty good. Same thing I'm going to say here about Cannon. Very similar stats, if I'm not mistaken, but ultimately, this is a game that the Phillies need to bounce back and find a way to win. It's tough to win on the road, I understand, but come on, man, the White Sox 39 wins. Let's go. Turn it around and get things going here, as every one of these games are important. With only 54 to go, you got to win that division. You have to win the division, and it's easier said than done because the Mets are red hot. I know they just lost last night, but they won 7 in a row, and I'm done doubting the Mets. I am done doubting the Mets. That pitching staff is good. Starters are good. If it happens, good. All the way around, like we're all, clapping for that. We want them to struggle. We want the claps to happen, but no, I'm not doubting them anymore. And I think that they're only going to get better as far as some of the players that haven't produced in the first half in this second half.
And not only that, we know what their owner and their general manager know what their owner and their general manager are willing to do when it comes to adding players too. They are willing to do whatever it takes to add people at this deadline. So even if it's, hey, we only need 1 reliever, but we're going to add 2 because we know Philly's going to go after the other guy. I could see them being a team that trades as much as possible for Durant and Jax, just so Philly can't get one of them, right? That could be something that's very realistic, seeing what this ownership has done in a very short time. So not only are they a good team, and again, we've talked about how on earth is this starting pitching doing what it's doing, but they continue to do it. And if they add, especially at a position where Philly is also at a need, if they add in that bullpen, it's going to be hard to keep pace with them all season long.
All right, Kyle Fisher hanging with us here, and he is the perfect guy to ask this question. And I want to get this here, and then on the other side, we're going to get over to some NFL discussion, specifically some Eagles defense. How about that?
Okay.
I'm curious, though. Do you get the Savannah Bananas?
Yeah, it's fun. It's an alternative product. It's not supposed to be taken seriously. I think I heard Mark Henry Jr. call it the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. It's that similar idea. It's the thing that I like is that they're always innovating, right? As far as Harlem Globetrotters, I feel like when I was younger, I got a very similar experience every single time. And at the heart, of course, you're going to it's basketball, and you can say the same about the Savannah Bananas, but they have changed a lot of the things that they brought to the presentation with the goal of, we don't want you to feel like if you see us once, you've seen it all. And to me, if you have an entertainment product and you constantly evolve that entertainment product, and I'm entertained by it, then it's a success. So to me, it's a win. It shouldn't be taken seriously. If you think that it's a serious product, you are insane. They are serious about it, but that doesn't mean it has to be taken seriously. It's like the professional wrestling of baseball, right? Like I'm supposed to believe that these dudes are seriously mad and fighting each other, but it's a drama. It's a joke. It's a comedy. It's all of that mixed together. Like, I don't know. Don't take life so seriously. Enjoy it. It's fun.
Oh, good answer. I'm with you. I not to say that I don't get it. I like it.
I think I knew that you got it.
Yeah.
I see people complaining about it on Twitter.
Come on. Oh, yeah. Whatever. Yeah. People want to complain about everything. We talk about that often here. But look, like you said, I think your answer is bullseye. They continue to evolve. They try new things. You're right. With the Harlem Globetrotters, how many times are you going to get the water cooler filled with confetti and you pour it over, somebody's head? It's funny. Don't get me wrong. And then the 3/4 shot behind the back is great when it goes in, no doubt. But the Savannah Bananas do things that are themed around their home city that's hosting them, whether it's the Phillies. I know they rolled out Victorino. They bring out certain players. They had also, the AOK dance, which was Bryson Stott's walk-up song. I don't know if he's going back to that, but they had some other things going on. And you know what? Part of me was like, damn, I wish I had like $800 to spend on 2 tickets so I can make a game.
I went down on Sunday.
Oh, you did? You were there?
Yeah, so I went to Sunday. The day version is a little different than the night version. So I didn't get Victorino, but I did get an interpretive dance from Gritty, so I'll take it. I also saw a cameraman fall. That was and I don't think that was planned. I think he just tripped over the mound. He was filming one of the guys doing a song and dance bit from center field up to the plate, and he just tripped. Everybody broke character, started laughing. It was really funny.
So where were your seats?
We bought standing room because they were so expensive.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So what is a standing room, if you don't mind me asking? What's a standing room cost?
So the list price was $40. The problem is everybody puts it on the secondary markets, and that's where I got it. So on the secondary, we paid $150 for 2 tickets.
Oh, wow. Oof. Yeah. But that's cool. That's cool.
About halfway through, though, we had rain on Sunday. About halfway through, we noticed that, hey, nobody's been down to those seats in a little while, and the ushers are nowhere near as strict during that performance, I'll say. So my son and I ended up sitting like second row of the 200 level for the second half of the game.
Nice. That's what I like to do. I like to scout it out, see what's happening. I'm like, oh, you know what? That seat's open right there. It's been open for the first half. Let's go make our way down there. See if we don't get caught. Nice work on that one. Yeah, Savannah Bananas took over Citizens Bank Park all weekend long. And some of the rumors out there, they took over Old City as well. Them boys do all right, I hear, off of the field. And
a lot of them had their jerseys unbuttoned, and I could see why. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. Them boys are in shape. Not a lot of carbs being consumed on the road. That's for sure. All right, Kyle Fisher hanging with us here, having some fun on a Tuesday. Other side, over to the NFL. I want to get your thoughts as far as the Eagles. Are we smelling ourselves on the defensive side of the ball? Cooper DeJean, top 100 player, according to the players in the NFL. Wow, that floored me. A lot to do, a little time left here. Kyle Fisher hanging with me. Don't go anymore after this.
Our iHeartRadio Music Festival, presented by Capital One, is back in Vegas.
T-Mobile Arena.
Streaming live only on Hulu. A weekend full of superstar performances. And listen, starting Monday, to win your way there.
Gear up, music fans. Hyundai is back as a proud partner of the 2025 iHeartRadio Music Festival. Join us as our electrifying all-star lineup hits the stage like never before.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Problems in South Jersey. It's a sinkhole on the Jersey Turnpike southbound near Interchange 4, Route 73. Traffic crawling approaching the scene where the center lane is blocked. This has a lot of people turning to 295 south as an alternate. That's backed up Rancokes Woods down to Route 70. Watch for delays on the Schuylkill, westbound Jan, University to Vine, and so City to Belmont, eastbound heavy Blue Route to Belmont, and Montgomery Drive to south. 95 northbound backed up at Penn's Landing and Betsy Ross to Bridge. To tell total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios.
Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Business owners can now keep in touch with up to 200 staff members at one time. Go to rapidradios.com now for up to 60% off and free shipping.
Do you own or manage a business here in Philadelphia? Are you unsure where to start when it comes to advertising? Well, here's a surprise. Fox Sports The Gambler, your local iHeart station, is the one place you can get it all. Hey, it's Sean Brace, and we can help with everything from radio and podcast ads to social media and digital. And we can even get local voices like mine spreading the word about your business. So if you're looking for someone to take care of it all, do yourself a favor right now. Call 844-844-iHeart or visit iHeartAdvertising.com today.
Looking for the perfect outdoor dining experience with a view? Join us at Randall's Restaurant, located in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Don't miss out on our summer promotions, including all-day happy hour on Sundays in July and August, and Wine Fest coming in late August. More details at randallslegacy.com.
Stay tuned to Fox PHL The Gambler for the latest CEOs you should know.
Brian Clark, CEO and Executive Director of Greater Philadelphia Health Action.
Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Do Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keep coming back? Tremfya, guselkumab, may help, with rapid remission achieved at 12 weeks and lasting clinical remission at 1 year. Some even saw visible improvement of their intestinal lining at 12 weeks and 1 year. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active Crohn's disease and adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Healing is possible with Tremfya. Approximately 3 out of 10 patients were in endoscopic remission at 1 year, based on areas visualized on colonoscopy, which may not represent the deeper bowel layer or entire GI tract. Individual results may vary. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
Hi, Zoe Saldana. Welcome to T-Mobile. Here's your new iPhone 16 Pro on us.
Thanks. And here's my old phone to trade in.
You don't need a trade-in. When you switch to T-Mobile, we'll give you a new iPhone 16 Pro. Plus, we'll help you pay off your old phone up to $800, and you still get to keep it.
There's always a trade-in.
Not right now at T-Mobile.
I feel like I have to give you something in return for karma.
That's okay.
I don't really have much in my purse. Oh, let's see. Hand sanitizer. It's lavender.
I'm good. Seriously.
Let me check this pocket. Oh, mints?
Really, I'm fine.
Oh, I have raisins. I'm a mom. Wait 1 sec. I've got cupcakes in the car.
It's our best iPhone offer ever. Switch to T-Mobile. Get a new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence on us. No trade-in needed. We'll even pay off your phone up to $800.
With 24 monthly bill credits, new line $100 plus a month and experience beyond finance agreement $999.99 and qualifying forwarded. For well qualified plus tax and $10 connection charge. Payoff via virtual prepaid card. Allow 15 days. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. See T-Mobile.com.
Greatness is here. All 830 of our famous footwear stores now carry Jordan brand. So it's easy to score Jordan brand footwear and accessories, from hats to backpacks to socks, for the full family at a store near you. Famous Footwear's in-store fit experts will help you find the perfect style and the perfect fit. Because every day is a chance to make it famous. Come in and shop Jordan brand footwear and accessories at your local Famous Footwear store today.
Hey, man, you all right?
Need me to call 911? No. Call Top Dog Law. Get top dollar for your accident at topdoglaw.com. Once again, that's topdoglaw.com. Daily Ticket with you here. Kyle Fisher hanging with me. Be sure to follow Kyle on all things socials. Kyle Fisher 45, doing a bang up job as always. It's great to have Kyle join us, and you can find him over at Philly Sports Network. Also available on social media at Philadelphia SN. What are you working on over there, Kyle? What's the next project for you, sir?
So I have a little piece that I actually meant to get out last week. Just personal life got in the way. But I interviewed Weston Wilson about his return to the big leagues. Obviously, we're not unclear on Alec Boehm's timeline, so we'll see how much more timely it is. I'm going to try and get it out either tonight or tomorrow morning. But just had a nice conversation with him about what he worked on, what it means to the organization to have faith in him, bring him back up when they needed somebody. Talk to some other guys about what it means to have a guy who's had some success in the big leagues that they can turn to instead of having to go to a rookie or maybe somebody who's been unproven. You know, you got a guy here who's won you some games, had a cycle at the major league level. He has a 30-30 season in the minors under his belt. So maybe hasn't worked out the way that he had hoped at all times. Yeah, it's a part-time role. I talked to him a little bit about that. What's the difference in preparation for when you're playing every day in the minors versus having to stay ready despite not knowing when you're going in the game at the major league level. So started that one, still in the draft. So that should be out later this week.
Nice work. Yeah, it hit me the other day. I was looking at, was watching Sosa in the dugout with the Yankees game, and he got some PT over the weekend. And it's just funny. Like sometimes we look at some of these guys that are filling out a roster and like, yeah, that guy stinks. And I'm not talking specifically about Sosa. But you know, and it's like, do you realize how good these guys are? Like, yeah. They're in the professionals. They're in the bigs. Do you realize how good they are? And to say that Wilson had a 30-30 season in the minors, I didn't know that. So it's just like sometimes we got to put things in a proper perspective that I don't think we do all that often.
And it's funny, Castellanos and Marsh both said something similar when I spoke to them about Wilson. It's like, yeah, we know how good he is. We're a championship level roster, and the guy is barely making it, but he would be a regular or at least a platoon guy on 15, 20 other rosters. You know, guys who are in the lower half of the league would likely take him. We saw that with guys like Matt Vierling and Nick Maton when we traded them. We've seen guys move around and all of a sudden they find a place. Mickey Moniak, people are like, oh, guy's a bum, he's a bust. And he would have the second best OPS on the Phillies if he were here right now.
Ouch. Didn't know that one. Yeah, that's
of the outfielders. Excuse me.
Okay,
of the outfielders.
Right. That stings a little bit still, though. Nice work there. All right. I want to shift gears and get on over to the NFL. Of course, we got ourselves a game in 2 days. Unbelievable. Lions and Chargers. Oh my. The NFL Hall of Fame game back front and center for us here. And it's just crazy how snap of the fingers, we have cruised to the calendar year, and now we are back to football season. So let's go ahead and ramp things up. I know you know the Eagles very well, and I want to ask you when it comes to the defensive side of the ball, and I know that last year they were awesome, and we can go over some of the names, but, of course, free agency, they took a little bit of a hit. Where are we at? What's your expectation for this defense this year for the Eagles? Because, secondary, I feel about as confident, I think, as I ever have with Quinyon, with Coop, and everybody else filling in their spots. But up front, I'm still, wondering where the sack production is going to come from. I'm wondering about the linebacker position. Zach Bond was amazing last year. Can he duplicate the success that he had last year? I don't know. And I realize, look, the coaching is there, understood. The expectations are even higher coming off of what they did last year, trying to duplicate that success. Your thoughts on the Eagles defense? Can they be better this year in your mind?
I think there's going to be growing pains. I think they can be as good, but you lost a lot of top talent in the offseason. That happens with every championship roster in the NFL, right? You're going to lose guys, especially anybody who's expiring likely gets paid somewhere else, and Eagles can't afford to pay everybody. I don't care how creative you get with contracts. So I think there may be growing pains in the first couple weeks, but Coop showed that he was more than ready for the limelight. And if he needs to play safety, so be it, right? it's one of those things like maybe we are getting this overinflated confidence, but why wouldn't you have confidence in a guy who shocked everybody? Nah, he's not ready to be a starter yet. He'll have to learn. We know Quignon's there, but this guy's might need a full season under his belt before he. Oh, wait a second, he's picking up Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Never mind. With Fangio, what he's been able to do with some of these guys, it gives you confidence that secondary is going to remain really strong. Like I said, I think you're going to have some feeling out process. Obviously, we know that there's injuries or at least recovery time still to be seen in the linebacker position. What is Jahad Campbell going to look like? It's obviously great that he's back at practice already, but we'll have to see if he stays healthy. I know that the pads are on now. Once they get a few practices under their belt, how healthy is he feeling? And can he start a little bit earlier than expected, similar to what Degenerate did last year? To me, if you can limit production and you can put pressure on quarterbacks, I think you saw that with last season's team. You don't need the sack numbers to be there, right? If you can pressure a guy off his spot, whether it results in a sack or not, that is what you need to do as a defensive front. So I do agree with you that it's not obvious where that production is coming from, but Fangio showed what he could do. I felt the same way last season. What are they going to? I know that we had some more guys as far as rushers were concerned, but where did you feel like someone jumped off the page? It didn't feel like that season a couple years ago where they led the league in sacks and had, double-digit sacks from multiple places. It's not the same style of defense, so you're not going to see that same type of number. Overall, I feel like if you can limit production and keep pressure up, whether the sacks come or not, that's a formula for success.
Removing Jalen Carter from the equation here, who's the most important piece on that side of the ball in your mind?
For this team to have success like they did last year, who's got to lead the charge? This is an easy one with Zach Bond. Is that the obvious one? Again, Jalen, for my money, I have a Defensive Player of the Year award ticket for him, and I think everybody should have one if you're an Eagles fan. It's definitely one that you can believe in and of course, cheer for every Sunday, and we see what type of pressure he brings, and all you got to look at is the Jalen Carter game. He had a few of those last year, but of course, that Rams playoff game really jumps out at you. Is there a player that you would say would be more important to the success for defense this year, more important than Zach Bond?
I think Jordan Davis is going to be huge. I think that because you do have a couple less guys, or at least established guys on that front line, I think Jordan Davis, especially, the reports are that he's lost some weight, that he's in better shape than he's ever been. If he can turn some of those pressures into sacks, that helps take some of the double coverage off of Carter. I think if he can make a huge impact and stay in the game as long as possible with a little bit of a slimmer frame, still bringing that strength and that speed that he's shown, to me, that would be obviously we know what Zach Bond, the importance that he brought to the team. Maybe Campbell can make up for some of that, but I don't want to put a pressure on a rookie. I would say, if it's not Carter, I'd say Davis all the way. Oh, it looks like we lost Sean. So hi, everyone. Hello. Sean will be rejoining us in a moment. I don't know what happened there, but we were talking Eagles and who's the most important piece on the defense. I do think that I mentioned earlier there's going to be some growing pains. They're going to have the rookies up in the middle. I mentioned Jahad Campbell already. Zach Baum, we're going to see when he recovers, but Campbell, I think, is going to be an important piece. Like I mentioned, I don't want to put the pressure on the rookie. Sean, it looks like you're back. I tried to cover best I could.
That was great. Nice work by you, one, too. That's never happened before. I've been doing a show in this studio for I think 2 years now. We lost complete internet. I don't know what just happened.
So I lost the internet on this show one time. So I checked me first. And then when I was like, oh no, I'm still here. Okay, let's go. We gotta keep it moving.
It happened last time, and now my computer's all out of funk, but that's all right. Again, short, if you could condense it, because I know you already answered it, but your thoughts. You want to finish that statement?
Yeah, I don't want to put pressure on the rookie, so I do think that the linebacker position, we saw how good it was when Bond stepped into that spot, moved inside, how good it was. I think that Jordan Davis is the more important piece this year, just to see how he can really take the next step instead of putting pressure on a recovering Bond and a rookie in Campbell.
All right. Yeah, look, that's 2 times now that me and you have had some technical issues, and that's never happened before. What's going on with the gods above? They
Something in
fear
the
when we
air.
get together. Yeah, something in the air. There is something in the air. It's expectations for this team, and again, focusing on the Eagles, my thoughts is exactly what you said, right? When you look at the depth chart and you go down and you see Jordan Davis and what he has been and what he's capable of, and then you see that he lost like 30 pounds, if I'm not mistaken. I think he said he was down to.
Yep.
So yeah, that raises the bar. It's a more important time. It's probably the most important time in his career, albeit as young as it is, as far as contractors concerned. Like, he's got to deliver. He needs to be in that backfield, and he could tear it up. So I do have expectations for this defense. I do think that they could very well be as good as last year, but it starts and ends with Jalen Carter up front, Zach Bond doing what he did last year, and Fangio being the awesome defense coordinator that he's been, proving his worth. So I'm excited about this upcoming year, but man, it comes back to that secondary, and that's really where I'm starting to raise it up, because Quinyon Mitchell could very well be the best cornerback in the game. And I mean that. I can't believe I'm saying it. We knew what people were saying when he was coming out of college, but he has delivered and then some. We saw last year throughout the course of the playoffs. I think Quinyon Mitchell could very well be the leader as far as the defensive side of the ball is concerned. But Cooper DeJean, we know what he's capable of. I know that he was all over the place in the summertime. He's a young man. I would hope that he's focused. But here's another thing that's hit me about Cooper DeJean. I just think he's so gifted. I think he's the chosen one. I really do. I think this is the type of guy, the type of kid that can go in and, you know what, like, keep the coaching, keep whatever it is to the side, just put him out in the field, and he's going to be a difference maker.
Yeah, man. That's the thing I'm a little curious about. Why I think there might be some growing pains, because they used him in a very specific role to start last season, and then you saw what happened once he found his right role, and he found that he kind of settled into one spot. They're talking about potentially putting him at safety for certain packages, potentially moving him outside versus inside in certain packages. So not that I have faith, not that I don't have faith that he can make those adjustments. It's more, you can't assume that everything that you throw at this guy is going to be electric right away. So I think it may take a moment, but if they figure out how to deploy this guy and he just becomes a jack of all trades out in the secondary, that is a dangerous weapon, because we've seen what he could do when he has one role. So imagine him being electric at 2 or 3 different spots, depending on the formation and what the offense is throwing at you, especially with Mitchell. Like you said, I mean, there's star receivers last year who talked very highly of him in those mic'd up segments, talking trash to a rookie before he walked on the field, and then like, whoa, didn't expect that. That guy was able to keep up with me. I gave him 2 moves. I forget exactly who it was. I'll have to go back and find the clip and tweet it out. But I remember there was a couple times where guys were like, damn, I can't lose this guy. So to me, that's really electric to have 2 rookies be so impactful. And then if DeJean can really fall into whatever Fangio has planned for him and take over another role for this team, it's just, I mean, what?
Yeah.
Cornerbacks. Who would have thought? Who would have thought we would have all these young?
Never. No, I definitely did not believe it. You know, when they pulled the trigger and they attacked in the draft, I gave them the thumbs up, but I won't lie to you, I didn't know much about Quinyon Mitchell. Of course, I knew where he was ranked or rated as far as coming out into the draft, and everybody spoke highly of, but I was like, all right, Mac, let's see what he's got. But man, he has been awesome, and I'm really excited about what his potential for this upcoming season. Of course, Cooper DeJean is a fan favorite. I even floated the idea to my wife that I'll be buying his jersey. Yeah, I would rock a Cooper DeJean jersey. Why not?
There you go.
I love his lifestyle, Kyle. He fits the mold, baby. Let's go. All right. I want to ask you this, because you're a man who covers the league for CBS Sports, does a great job on the sidelines on Sundays. So, you know, you're the perfect guy to ask this question. I'm just wondering why so many people are in love with Justin Herbert, and do you agree with this love affair? Yesterday, I played a clip from Danny Parkins, who's filling in for Colin Cowherd. And I think Parkins does a great job. He's a very good radio host. I think he knows what he's doing when it comes to like find that one player, harp on it, you know, stir it up. Yeah, that's what the industry, that's the business where we want you to listen to us. We want you to click our articles, so on and so forth. So he makes the case that the Eagles would automatically, without even thinking twice, trade Jalen Hurts for Justin Herbert, if that hypothetical trade ever surfaced. And it's fun. It's a barroom discussion, whatever, right? But I think Justin Herbert is a good quarterback, but I'm wondering where's the line? Where is the line of like, okay, now you're just over the top. He followed up. Danny Parkins followed up by saying he believes he could be the next Peyton Manning. Like, what? Peyton Manning is one of the greatest quarterbacks I've ever seen take the field on Sundays. And you're going to tell me Justin Herbert, who's young and has had some really good seasons, don't get me wrong, but has struggled in playoff games, has struggled against better competition throughout the course of his young career. I see it. I like Harbaugh as a coach. I don't mind the Chargers roster, but specifically the quarterback, the talent, the arm, the mind. Where do you rank him? Where do you rate Justin Herbert when you get into that conversation of like, is Justin Herbert one of the top 5, top 10 quarterbacks in the league?
He's in the upper echelon. I mean, I'd have to look at everybody if I wanted to call him top 5. I don't think the Eagles would do a swap Hurts for Herbert straight up, but people fell in love with what he did in college. You fall in love with the big arm at the quarterback position. You fall in love with the ability to read schemes and the intelligence that a lot of guys show. But the game's also different. A lot of old school guys, like whoever you just mentioned, just said like he's on the Peyton Manning track. Well, okay, but Peyton Manning wouldn't be the same guy today as he was back then, right? The game is more athletic. Obviously, he would still be a Hall of Famer, elite arm talent, not saying that he wouldn't be, but people see the blueprint of what they're used to a quarterback being in Justin Herbert, and he shows athleticism. Well, when you're a guy who's forced to throw the ball a lot more, yeah, you get to show it off. Hurts has never been asked to do that, and the few times he has been has been asked to do that, he's shown that he can. So people get obsessed with the quarterback being the most accurate, the leader of the team on the field, the whatever you want to say about the arm strength and the accuracy and all these things, but you can be intelligent and read a defense with your legs just as well as you can with your arm. When a guy fits your system and he's a proven winner at every single level, I don't know why people seem to have this obsession with discounting Hurts. Now, I'm not a guy who's going to say that he's a top 3 quarterback in the league either.
No.
But
yeah, same.
I'd say you'd put him and Herbert in the same discussion, and why make a lateral move, right? Even if take my fandom out of it, unless I'm getting one of the top 3 guys, I'm not moving on from a guy who's in the tier right below them. It's foolish.
And the success that you've had as a team. Yeah, I'm with you. And it's funny where it's like they want to say, okay, well, he's surrounded by all these great players, and that's like a shot at him. It's like, wait a minute, man, that's what the general manager's supposed to do, and he's playing the role the way he should be playing the role at quarterback. And you know what? Oh, by the way, when his number is called upon, he is hitting A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert down the middle of the field, making those tough passes on third and converting those long, third down conversions. So Jalen Hurts, for my money, I am not moving off of him for Justin Herbert. To be honest with you, I don't know if there's many quarterbacks I would, just because of the team success that they've had so far. Sky's the limit for this team.
He's a leader.
Yeah.
He's proven it time and time again through wins, through losses. The guy is an emotional leader. He leads that locker room. They look to him as the North Star in that locker room. Even when Jason Kelce was there and everybody thought from the outside that Jason Kelce was the leader, Kelce was telling you that is the guy that we live and breathe by. He's the guy that we go to. There are cases where the quarterback isn't the emotional leader. Not everybody has that in them. But Hurts has proven at every single level that he does. If you want to talk about, I know that nobody's saying this recently, that he's a system guy, but it's okay. Oh, he has all these great people around him. Okay, a lot of players have had great players around them and not done the things that he's done.
Fair.
He has had a different play caller every single year since his senior year of high school, Sean. A different play caller every year. You can't call him a system. He is the system. That's what he gives you every single season, regardless of who's calling plays, regardless of who the offensive coordinator is. Any level, he wins, and he stays above board emotionally. That's what you want from your quarterback. That's all I got to say.
Roaring round of applause for Kyle Fisher. Love it. When you're out there on the sidelines on Sundays and you talk about big arms, give us a quarterback that made you go, "Ooh, wow!" Like he has it. Whether it's an arm, strength or, just a physical build? Who's really made you stop and like, whoa, that dude right there is pretty special?
You said quarterback wise?
Yeah, quarterback.
Oh man. I mean, Hurts is a bigger guy than I expected. I think Josh Allen, everybody knows he's a big guy. He is friggin' humongous. I mean, I cannot believe how large that guy is. Look, and I'm looking at it from a lot of times it's Tracy Wolfson interviewing them, so everybody looks huge next to Tracy Wolfson. She's so tiny. But like, I'd say a guy who surprised me, and I know Eagles fans are going to hate this, but Jaden Daniels, I think his athleticism really jumped out. His arm strength jumped out, and yes, I was at the game where he threw that crazy Hail Mary that was tipped and caught. Like, so maybe I'm using that as the measuring stick here, but that guy really, really surprised me. Everybody else, I mean, you kind of knew already, right? I've seen Aaron Rodgers up close. I got to see Tom Brady up close, but they're exactly what you expect when you see them up close. You're like, damn, this guy he's incredible. But to see, I think Hurts, trying to take my fandom out of it, he's a bigger guy than I realized. Josh Allen is really, really poised guy and has a giant arm. We've seen him do it time and time again. And then, I'd say Jaden Daniels really surprised me last season.
Kyle Fisher, you are the best. Thank you very much for giving us an hour again today. You can find him on all things socials, Kyle Fisher 45. We got football season right around the corner. Does a bang-up job for the folks over at the Philly Sports Network. Be sure to read everything that they're putting out there at Philadelphia SN. Hopefully the Phillies can find a victory this evening. Hopefully they stay aggressive and get some of those Angels in the outfield over here to South Philadelphia. And football season is here with Thursday night's game, man. Can't wait to be covering it again with you all season long. Thanks for a couple minutes, and we'll catch up later this week, sir.
Appreciate you, sir. See you soon.
My man, there he is, Kyle Fisher, holding it down as we battle through a little connection issue. That's a first, and my camera's all crazy right now. Awesome stuff from Kyle from as far as the Eagles discussion is there. And yeah, man, it's this is when we're going to start focusing a little bit more on the player production, some of the props. I can't wait to come out with my futures segment. I have a special new idea this year to reveal all of my NFL futures. We always put out our plays out there. I think you're going to enjoy this one this year as far as the video is concerned. I look forward to making it very, very soon. Locking in some of those plays, but I do have a few awards already locked in. And as I pointed out, Jalen Carter, Defensive Player of the Year, I believe 20-1, 22-1. I don't think it was that high. But Jalen Carter, Defensive Player of the Year, I think if you're an Eagles fan, that is one that you need to have in your portfolio. As I don't know, something must be going on. Is it raining outside? Because that's why sometimes our connection is a little bit of an issue here. But the awards for DraftKings Sportsbook. Oh, there we go. Let me pull that up. Defensive Player of the Year, Jalen Carter is. I didn't think it was that high. Quinyon Mitchell is at 50-1. Jalen Carter is 22-1. My bad. Yeah, I do have that ticket. Like I said, he's a guy that could take a game over, and Eagles fans all should have that, as well as 60-1 to win the Super Bowl and Jalen Hurts to be the Super Bowl MVP. Get that play now at DraftKings Sportsbook. All right, 5 o'clock hour is here. Other side, all things Phillies. Don't go anywhere. More after this. Hey, Sean Brace here. Make the most of your summer without stressing your budget.